Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages. Hope you're all doing good on this lovely Saturday afternoon. I want to wish you a warm welcome to another episode of Emil's Corner, and I am glad to announce that Emil's Corner is back in action. Yeah, baby, back in action with new material, new videos to provide to my loyal listeners and my interested listeners as well. Hope you guys are didn't miss me too much there, but like I said, I am back with new material and new juice, basically to interest you in music that was underrated. So I just want to take the time first to apologize for the delay on the site there for not having posted any videos lately. It's been a busy summer for me, guys. There was a lot of changes going on. There was a lot of decisions, important decisions too, to be made, all for the better, obviously, and that's why I haven't had a chance to post anything on Emil's Corner. But this is now behind, and we're moving forward. Just like any other phases in life. So Emil's Corner is back, and on this episode, I'd like to give you the opportunity to explore a very good Canadian hard rock band that was active between 1988 and 1994 called Slik Toxik. Okay, very good band. They no longer exist, unfortunately, but I think they were very worth it. Their music was quite impressive. If you're a fan of hard rock, so before going any further, just like all the other videos all the other episodes that I put on this page, I'm going to start with a little bit of history. So they are out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and at their peak, the main band members were singer Nick Walsh, guitarists Rob Bruce and Kevin Gale, bassist Pat Howarth, and on the drums Neil Busby. And at the beginning, they were called Portrait, and it involved singer Nick Walsh and Rob Bruce on the guitars along with other members. And they were noticed by a music writer by the name of Drew Masters in Toronto, who has written material for another band called Success. And he developed an interest in Portrait, and he kind of got together. They got together, and he was telling them, for the hard rock that you guys play, you should probably change your name from Portrait to something else, just to give it a little bit more attitude, a little bit more, a bit more of a hard rock image band. And that's when the name Slik Toxik came in. So a pretty original name, by the way. And throughout, they started with Drew Masters, and then they started playing in local Toronto bars. They had one called the Siboney Club that they were playing often there. It's in the Toronto Kensington Market area, for those of you that know Toronto pretty well. And then they started working with several managers. They were going from one to the other. They went through several managers at the beginning just to try and get it right. One of the managers that their first manager actually that they were noticed was John Boyes, and they started then producing some demos with another manager by the name of Bob Potter, who actually produced material for the Scorpions, legendary hard rock band, the Scorpions, believe it or not. And then they went on with, from Bob Potter to Andrew St. George, who has released material for Killer Dwarfs. I don't know if you know that band, Killer Dwarfs, but that's quite an original hard rock band. It's probably going to be another episode that I will post just for that band. But anyways, don't want to be sidetracked here. And it all led to a track that Slik Toxik has recorded called Smooth and Deadly. And then the following year, in 1992, came the album. They've released the album called Doin' the Nasty, which was produced by Capitol Records, that's owned by EMI, And the manager who has made this happen was Paul Gross, who has produced material for Saga and Lee Aron. Lee Aron, who's they call her the Canadian metal queen. Very good music, by the way, from Lee Aron. So Paul Gross wasn't unknown to the music producing role in the Canadian rock industry. So thanks to him, they've released Doing the Nasty in 1992. And what an amazing album. If you love hard rock, you will really enjoy this album. At the opening of this episode of The Mills Corner, you've heard the beginning of one track of the album called Hell of a Time. So I want you to enjoy just a demo of that song now. Again, Hell of a Time throughout later in the song. You know, a verse and a chorus, just so you have an idea what you're listening to. So here's a demo of Hell of a Time, and I will be back with more information. Enjoy that one. So, what do you guys think? Isn't that badass hard rock? Like, Nick Walsh's voice and the guitars, I think it's really good, okay? It's really definitely worth exploring if you are a hard rock fan out there, and especially hard rock from the early 90s before the grunge scene came. It's totally worth it, okay? So, that was Hell of a Time, just a demo. Now, just one more thing about Hell of a Time that I'm going to show now is I just want you to hear the guitar solos. You're going to see quite impressive. Listen to the guitar solos carefully. So that was Hell of a Time, and I hope you enjoyed the guitar solo. And one thing I really find good here on this song is actually pretty much all the songs on this album, Doing the Nasty, is how you can distinguish Rob Bruce's guitar and Kevin Gale's guitar. And I find Nick Walsh's voice actually pretty kick-ass. So really, it's it's a great combination with Nick Walsh's voice and the guitars. Now, here's another good track off of the album that was very successful. It's called Sweet Asylum, and we'll start with one little part here of the song, and listen to it carefully, and I'll be back to you after with some more information. Enjoy.
Step out of your asylum, welcome to mine. We have to
It's so amazing how the song, starts off with the lead guitar and Nick Walsh's song, at a more slower pace at the beginning, although it's really, really good. I still find it kick ass, but you got the combination of the lead guitar that you hear and Nick Walsh's voice, and then how it gradually, as it goes along, then you hear the guitar injection and it gives it like a good rock boost, and then Nick Walsh's voice that just gets pitched up a notch, and the two guitars going. It's just it's so well made. I just think it's brilliant. Okay, the way the song is made, and I want you to hear now another demo just of how well synchronized it is between the transitions of the song, and that's when you'll hear the guitar solo, which is well advanced. A good part of the last part of the guitar solo, as well as how Nick Walsh and then the guitars get back all together. It's really brilliant. So listen to that part, and I'll get back to you with more information afterwards. So, folks, that was for Sweet Asylum off of the album Doing the Nasty. Now, there is a third track that I want to draw your attention on, still on that kick-ass album. The third track is called White Lies, Black Truth. It may sound a little bit more like a ballad, but really it's a type of song that you can play in your car while you're driving on the highway along the coast, or if you're one of those person that kind of decide on the spot that you want to drive across the country on a new adventure or a journey, and you want to you just want to try something new. That song kind of fits this concept. So, White Lies, Black Truth. I will be showing you a first portion of the track where you'll be hearing they're in the chorus singing, and it's and it's in the rock portion of the chorus with the guitars in, and then they'll transition towards the verse, which is more of a ballad portion, but it's just so well made. I mean, the transition is so good, and stay tuned for afterwards, after this demo, because I'll be showing you another demo of that same song, and then I'll give you my conclusion on Slik Toxik. So stay tuned and enjoy that next demo. It's White Lies, Black Truth. Again, what do you guys think? Now, that was for the one portion of the song where it was, the rock chorus and then transitioning into the ballad. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you a little bit later in the song where you got the rock chorus transitioning directly into the guitar solo. And the guitar solo on that track, White Lies, Black Truth, is so good. It just makes me nostalgic of that sound that we used to hear from all these hard rock bands from the second half of the 80s to the early 90s, the kind of music that you put on where you're on your porch at the sunset with a party with nice friends, and not really caring what tomorrow brings type of deal. So enjoy that part, and I will get back to you after with more information about the band. But again, I cannot say it enough. It's just so sad that this band is no longer around. I think they deserve to be very, very well known within the hard rock music industry. So enjoy that second part of White Lies, Black Truth, chorus and guitar solo, and I'll get back to you in just a bit. White lies, black truth. Well, folks, just some highlights about this fantastic album, which once again is called Doing the Nasty. In 1993, at the Juno Awards, they have won the award of Hard Rock Album of the Year. Also, at the Much Music Video Awards back in 1992, Hell of a Time has won Best Metal Video Award. And at the People's Choice Award, they have won Best Video of the Year for White Lies, Black Truth. So that's quite impressive for this fantastic album. In Canada, they were certified gold status, and it reached number 61 on the album reached number 61 on the Canadian music charts, which I personally think deserve to have reached a higher status, in my opinion. But nonetheless, it was certified gold status, and like I said, it's a fantastic album. So after they had their success with that album, they had some pretty good gigs. One of them was to play at a popular Toronto rock and roll bar called the Gas Station, which was closing. And on the last night there, when they were closing, they were invited to play all night long. So it must have been a wild party. I hope for such a good band to be playing there. And also on a Canada Day festival, they've accompanied big names in the Canadian rock scene, such as the Tragically Hip, Kim Mitchell, 5440, and they've served a lot of opening acts for those big names, such as Kim Mitchell, also Yngwie Malmsteen, as well as Faster Pussycat, and even Black Sabbath. So they were opening for all these bands. Okay, and afterwards, like I said in other videos, the rock scene was changing. The hard rock and glam metal scene was slowly fading away, and it was being replaced by the grunge scene. And Slik Toxik wanted to now produce a second album, still with Paul Gross. And they were trying to see how to make it happen. I mean, bands such as Pantera, Alice in Chains, and Skid Row, which had roots in glam metal and hard rock, were now transitioning more into thrash metal and grunge, very grungy sound for Alice in Chains. And the band was trying to see, how they were going to cope with all that amongst this change of music market. And there were also some difficulties within the band, a little bit of depression and drugs, and unfortunately, and they were, I think they've been let go by their record labels, and they were transferred to a subsidiary, and it wasn't anyway. Things were not working out. Let's put it this way, just to cut to the chase here. And in 1994, Irrelevant came. It has a bit of it has a bit of a grungy sound. I've heard a song called Voodoo off of that album. It's a little bit more of a grungy sound because obviously that's what was starting to sell back then. But unfortunately, the album did not score too well, and the band shortly after disbanded in 1994. So afterwards, the band members, well, what they've done is, I know Nick Walsh has pursued other projects and is now, well, he started leading a band called Revolver, and and now in 2011 it became Famous Underground. And if you want to take a sneak peek, go on iTunes and listen to a few samples of their material. Pretty good material, actually. It's quite hard and heavy, so it's no, it's pretty interesting. You may like it. And Kevin Gale has played for multiple bands. You know, one being Punishment and one other being called Core within the Toronto rock industry. And Neil Busby on the drums has joined the Toronto death metal black metal market, and he played for a band called Solace. Pat Howarth has played for a band called Brave New World, which is a local band from Thunder Bay, Ontario, and some others, you know, have just disappeared from the music scene, unfortunately, sadly enough. So, in conclusion, here's where I'd like to give my personal opinion about Slik Toxik. I personally think this band really is a Canadian Guns N' Roses with a little bit of Motley Crue. You know, I think they're great. They deserved much more success, in my opinion. I mean, I know Guns N' Roses out of the Bay Area as well as Motley Crue. You know, they were the ones on the big scenes, but I think Slik Toxik deserves more attention, much more success. It really is. I mean, when I listen to Slik Toxik, I listen to the same talent with a capital T that I hear in bands like Guns N' Roses, for example. And it's just, you know, sad, but hey, that's just the way it is. The grunge scene took over. And, you know, just Nick Walsh, Rob Bruce, Pat Howarth, Kevin Gale, Neil Busby. If you happen to watch this video, I just want to say a warm thank you for the good music that you've provided to fans of hard rock between 1988 and 1994. So thank you very much, and I just want you to know that I'm a fan of Slik Toxik, and I want the world to discover who Slik Toxik really were. Okay, thanks guys, and I'll leave you with one last demo. It's the end of White Lies, Black Truth, how that solo gets back in again. So enjoy it, and I hope you've enjoyed this video and episode of Emil's Corner. Take care.